Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and I want to show you today how to read a tape measure. It's a very common problem that a lot of people have, and usually because most people are using an Imperial tape measure and they're having to deal with a bunch of fractions. Not everybody likes fractions and not everybody can convert them and deal with them. So reading an Imperial tape measure can really be difficult for a lot of people that aren't used to doing it. So I just wanted to do a short video just to explain basically how to read it. Also, I've got three different examples here of different types of tape measures. So this tape measure here actually has Imperial across one side and metric on the other side. A lot of countries are using metric. You can get tape measures with just metric. And when you get into the smaller increments, you know, less than a 1/16 of an inch, the millimeters and the metric is way easier to deal with, adding and subtracting and even reading. But this video here, we're going to talk about the Imperial measurements, so we're going to be talking about the inches and fractions within an inch. So that's one type of tape measure that has both on it. Actually, I want to show you this one first. This one here just has Imperial on it, so you can see all the dimensions, and it goes right from one side to the other. This tape measure actually has only Imperial on it as well, but if you notice along the bottom, it actually has it broken up right down to the 1/8 increments, and they're written right on there, which kind of makes it a little bit easier if you aren't 100% certain. The only thing I would find is probably after a while, there's just so much information on it. But it's a good way, it might be a good idea to have a tape measure like that when you're starting out, and it just gets you comfortable with recognizing what each of the little dashes or lines on there means. I've had lots of instances where somebody's helped me on a project, and you know, they're measuring, I'm cutting, or vice versa. Anyways, I ask them for a measurement of whatever, and they come to me and they say, well, it's 13 and 4 little tickies. 4 little tickies to me really doesn't mean a lot, because the problem with 4 little tickies is, depending on your tape measure, it could be you could be off by 1/8 of an inch, because different tape measures have different amounts of tickies. So anyways, I want to try to clear this up. One thing actually I want to show you on here too. We're gonna deal right down to the 1/16 of an inch on our display here. Is that what I have? Yeah, 1/16 of an inch. A lot of tape measures, in the first 12 inches on the tape, they'll go right down to the 32nd. So you can see there's a lot more lines here than there is over here. So, you know, a lot of tape measures, you'll see that. But for most projects, if you get to a 1/16 of an inch, you're pretty good, unless you're doing some real fine woodworking. Then honestly, I'd recommend you go to a metric tape measure. So let's just get right down to it. So I've scaled this out just as if you were looking at a Imperial blade on a tape measure. This would be the hooked end that hooks on your material. Obviously it's 0, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, and 5 inches. Now in every inch, we've got a variance of fractions here. And you'll also notice that on the tape measures and anything that has a ruler on it, the lines for the different volumes, or the different lengths, the different fractions really, are actually different lengths. So that helps you at a glance to differentiate which, if you're looking at 1/16ths, 1/8ths, quarters, you know, that sort of thing on a tape measure. That's one thing to start recognizing. So you'll see here the whole numbers, the full numbers, like the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, they're always the biggest line. Sometimes they're even just a hair thicker, but they're for sure always longer. From that point, the 1/2 inch lines are slightly less long than the full numbered lines. So here's a 1/2 inch, here's 1.5 inches, here's 2.5, 3.5, so on. From there, you go down to the 1/4 inches. So this one here is shorter than the 1/2 inch line, so we've got a 1/4 inch. Actually, this is a 1/4 inch line, this is a 1/4 inch line as well. And then we go down to the 1/8 inches, which are even shorter yet. And then on these first couple, I've got right down to the 1/16ths, which are these little wee ticks in between there. Really what it all comes down to is a whole bunch of fractions. So if you take a full inch and you divided it into 2 pieces, that's where you get your 1/2 inch increments. Okay, so that's the easiest one to do. You know it's the halfway mark, it's the second longest line. It's right here, so that's the 1/2 inch. See if I can write backwards. I don't know if you can hardly see that pencil on there. So that's the 1/2 inch mark. If you divide 1 inch into 4, you get down to the 1/4 inch marks. So here's a 1/4 inch mark right here. So that's your first quarter. 2 quarters, when you reduce it down in the fraction wise, turns out to be the same thing as a 1/2 inch. 3 quarters is right here. So this is 3 quarters. This is difficult to write this way. And then finally the last quarter would add up to your full number. Okay, so we got 1 quarter, 2 quarters, which is 1/2 inch, 3 quarters, and 4 quarters, which is 1. After the 1/4 inch mark, we've got the 1/8 inch ones down here. And actually, I'm going to go over here just to make this, actually I'm going to go over here just to make this a little clearer so I don't get too many pencil things written in there. So we've got our, it doesn't matter if this is 1, 2, 0, 10, doesn't matter. This is the 1/8 inch mark past it, so that's 1/8. This is 2/8, which is also 1/4, as indicated by the longer line as well. 3/8, 4/8, which is the same as 1/2. 5/8, 6/8, which is the same as 3 quarters. We always break it down to the lowest fraction that we can, the lowest denominator. And then we've got the 7/8, and then the 8/8, which is always the whole number again. Hopefully I haven't lost anybody there. I know it's grade 5 math, but fractions isn't everybody's thing. So after the 8ths, we've got these little 16th inch marks here. Okay, so in a full inch, there's 16 sixteenths. So we've got a 16th, we've got 2 16ths, which is actually an 1/8. Remember, we're changing that bottom number. Here's 3 16ths, 4 16ths, which is the same as 1/4, 5 16ths, and so on. You get the picture there. It's all about changing that bottom denominator in your fraction. So we've got the 32nds, we got the 16ths, we got the 8ths, we got the quarters, we got the halves, and after that is the full number. Very seldom are you ever going to need to measure anything under a 32nd. So and in most cases I wouldn't even worry about the 32nd unless you're really having to measure very precisely. So if we've got 2 16ths, is the 6 the right way? That's actually 1/4, right? Sorry, 2 16ths is 1/8. So if you divide this bottom number by 2, you get an 8. Divide this top number by 2, you get an 1. So that you can see how it breaks down, and your memory is probably being jogged now back to middle school. So reading the tape measure is all about working with those fractions and reducing them down to the lowest denominator. They aren't tickies. They're actual fractions, these marks in between. So 1 and 4 tickies, when people usually say that, they're saying 1 1/4, but you're guessing at that point what they're actually trying to tell you. So if you can learn what the fractions are in between there, it's just going to make life so much easier for you. If you can't figure that out, then definitely buy a metric tape measure, because it's just adding and subtracting. That's all you're worrying about. So hopefully this clarified how to read a tape measure a little bit better. One other thing, since we're talking about tape measures, that I just want to bring up, actually a couple different things I'll bring up since we got it. Actually, I'll use this tape measure here. A lot of people figure, they open up a tape measure, they're looking for the right tape measure. They're in the store, they open it up, and they pull on the end here, and oh, this one's no good, it's all loose. That's not going to measure accurately. That's actually supposed to move. That's designed so that when you hook it onto something, you get, say you're measuring 4 inches, you get the same measurement. When you butt it up against something, you should still get that same measurement. So it actually takes into account the thickness of the end of the tape measure here, this hook right here. That's why it has that movement. It should be moving the same amount as the thickness here. Now that can wear out over time. If it gets too sloppy, throw your tape measure away and get a new one. but they are supposed to move. They should have some movement right from new in that. So if I wanted to measure the bottom edge of this board, right from here, hooked on there, right to this outside edge, let's just see what we have. So if you zoom right in there, you can see we actually have 24 and 1 ticky. Oh, did I say ticky? I meant 1/16. Right here you can see the edge of it. I actually put a black line there so you can make that out a little clearer. I wonder if I turn this a bit if the camera can see it any better. In fact, if I put my finger back there, does that help? Okay, so you can see that's 24 1/16. Now we'd get the same measurement on that piece of wood, even if there was another piece of wood sticking up here. Because of the movement in the tape, we'd be able to stick this on here and get that same measurement. Even though we're not hooking on now, we're actually butting in. So my point is, this should move, and the movement in it should be basically about the same thickness as the hook on the end. A couple other things about a tape measure. Most tape measures, when you get looking at them, they'll have some numbers highlighted in red like this, like that 16 is, and that 32nd. And that comes down for framing, because those are usual framing dimensions, 16 inches on center. So your 16, your 32, your 48 will all be like that. Now you might notice that on this tape measure there's also the foot increments are marked with a, just to help them be easily identified. In this case they've got a black outline around them. So they're just trying to help you identify it a little bit more. If you were measuring something and, I mean, we could measure this table, for instance. Let's just see what it is. Oh, that's a bad example. Let's just say we're measuring something and it's 19 inches. So the other way of saying that, you can either say it's 19 inches long, or you could say it's 1 foot 7 inches. So that's what these red other numbers in every foot is indicating around there as well. So it is 19 inches, but it could also be stated as 1 foot 7 inches. Okay? So there's just a few little kind of shortcuts that most tape measures will have on them. There's not really anything else too much on there. When you get into the metric ones, a lot of times what they have is they're going to have the 10 centimeter increments highlighted. For framing in metric, you're basically going to have the 40 centimeter marks intervals highlighted, because that'd be the same. That'd be basically the equivalent to 16 inches on center. So yeah, that's the metric one. This one's the one that had all the crazy lines on it that after a while your eyes just bug out looking at it. So hopefully that, basically I got a little off topic there. Basically I wanted to just show you how to read a tape measure, how to work with the fractions, and hopefully it's a little bit more clear at this point. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, or any other DIY type project that you have, you can come to our website at house-improvements.com, and on the website you're going to find lots of articles on other topics as well, but you'll also find a link to the forum there. So click the link to the forum. You can post up any question in all the different topic areas we have, and I'll be sure to get an answer off to you as soon as I can. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, social media. Keep in touch with us. We try to post something up there every day during the week, so just have a look at that and see what you think. So anyways, good. Thanks for watching.